This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin.
Well, good day, everyone, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Today is Wednesday, the 30th of April, 2025. Hard to believe this month is already gone. Coming up a little later on the program, we're going to talk with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net to find out what's happening in those markets today. But first, we're going to kick things off with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig, talking about some of the work they've done to promote National Soil and Water Conservation Week, and also talk about planting progress in the state. All right, so let's start with things that are going on this week. We are kicking off a National Soil and Water Conservation Week, and you kicked things off on Monday with a big announcement. Tell us about what's going on.
Yeah, we did. It's a great week to highlight all kinds of conservation work that's getting done. We'll do everything from abandoned mine reclamation, certainly around water quality wetlands and a variety of practices. But today we actually started off in West Des Moines, highlighting and announcing urban conservation projects that we were funding, 14 of them, $2.7 million in a contribution that the state of Iowa will be making for a total investment of $5.7 million in those projects. And so what we'd love today to remind folks is it's highlighting the leverage that's created, the kinds of partnerships that we're interested in. And also, why are we leading off with urban conservation? Well, frankly, it's because I want to make sure we're driving home the idea that we have a holistic approach to water quality in the state of Iowa, urban and rural, point and non-point. I want to make sure that every person in Iowa knows that they can make a contribution to water quality. I like to say, own your piece. And some pieces are bigger than others. And certainly we know that agriculture is a big piece of what we need to be doing. But let's not forget that there's a lot of great work that can be done in the urban landscape and matching up stormwater management with water quality. And that's what we were doing in West Des Moines, but really funding projects in communities big and small all across the state.
And can you tell us a little bit about what the goals are of that project that IDALS is helping fund?
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is, again, these are locally led efforts, and a lot of them, again, are matching up this whole idea of cities, communities have to be dealing with and designing structures to compensate for stormwater management. Well, the whole idea is, well, if we can couple water quality practices with those as well. Wetlands, you need to be able to capture water and hold it and deal with a stormwater surge. But can you also be denitrifying and cleaning that water as it's happening? Lots of bioswales that can be put along streets or off paved areas, parking lots, those types of things, permeable pavers, restoring turf grass and those types of things. So you infiltrate water. Those are the types of things that we're looking at. And of course, in the case of Legacy Woods in West Des Moines, it's really coupling together that stormwater management, that water quality piece, but it's also about recreation for the community and community members, and also about education. What we hope is that folks will see these projects, be inspired to maybe do similar practices in their own landscape, or communities can see how they can be done. So we want to continue to have a robust urban conservation effort in the state of Iowa, and today was just the next iteration of that with these announcements.
Obviously, planting progress. The sprint has been on. We've talked to a few farmers that have already got corn wrapped up and a good chunk of beans, some vice versa. What are things looking like in your neck of the woods, and what are you hearing from around the state while Mother Nature decides whether or not she's going to play nice or not?
Well, that's right. We did see. Hey, I think this is good news. Actually, we're having more what you'd call normal spring conditions, which means that normally we do have to dodge some raindrops throughout the year. We hope that stays, that doesn't go severe. I think unfortunately, we already had some of that in very southwest Iowa, but certainly we hope that we can avoid that. But you got it. We had a great start, the week before last week, some folks were able to make some good progress and then got rained out. And now we're looking at an unsettled weather pattern here at the beginning of this week. But as we get into next week and beyond, it looks pretty good. So, it's kind of all over the place. Folks really are now anxious to get back in. but we know that the crop can go in the ground in pretty good shape, pretty quick fashion if we can get a good shot at it. So in the meantime, I guess we'll be thankful for a little bit of moisture, which we need. But hopefully we get another window that'll open up here in the next couple of days, and folks will make good progress.
And of course, we know that sprint is always something people want to hurry through, especially when you
Right.
have these unsettled weather patterns. Definitely want to remind farmers to be safe. And nothing's worth hurting yourself or others, or even worse.
Now that's so right. And on the road and just operating equipment. And the thing about these types of condensed windows would be that you run really hard, you run late, and just remind folks, both farmers, using the equipment and around the equipment, to keep safety top of mind. But those encountering ag equipment on the road, give folks a lot of space. They may not always be able to see you like you can see them.
And that again was Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig, and we'll have more from him coming up in future episodes of Ag Matters PM. We're going to take a short break now and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, Kenan Layden of agmarket.net is our guest with the closing markets. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. We're back on Ag Matters PM at the end of another trading day, and it's time to talk with Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. Kenan, I know corn kind of held up on its own here, at least throughout most of the day. Did that basically stay the same, and how did the soybeans and everybody else make out?
Yeah, so corn and wheat started the day stronger after the big sell-off yesterday. Wheat was made new lows here overnight, and then they started the day really strong, softened throughout the day, and then here towards the close, both the corn and wheat were kind of taking on some strength again, a little bit off of their daily highs that they made this morning, but kind of good to see that bounce back and holding some of those more technical support levels. As far as soybeans and the soy complex, pressure all around on that. Maybe feeling some more of that South American crop getting a little bit less competitive. I know there was an export announcement, but seems that without that renewable fuel announcement, the market might be gearing up for that. Soybeans really keep running out of steam every time they get up to their 200-day average, and they're kind of just range bound as they have been between that $10 level and that 200-day moving average, depending where it is on the day. And now they're kind of bouncing from the 200-day back to the $10 lower trading range that they've been in.
Now, this is nothing unusual, though, for soybeans, even when there isn't all the external forces against it. It's just the seasonality, is something we're kind of used to, right?
Yeah, seasonally exports usually decrease this time of year as Brazil gets more competitive, and the export season for the U.S., that window is kind of closing, but it seems just to be weighing on the market currently. Maybe this large South American crop, even though you could make a case that if we get any decrease in yield with the tight acreage in soybeans, you could get a pretty tight balance sheet. But I guess the planting progress, large South American crop has this market kind of saying, hey, we should have no issues currently. So that's what the price seems to be reflecting last few days.
All right, well, then switching gears over to livestock, how did the cattle and hogs play out today?
Down day in cattle and hogs. The feeder cattle index was higher as of yesterday, so it's running there over 295. But we were softer today. Some of the outside equity markets were also softer, and basically the cattle market, as long as cash stays strong, it's been staying supported, and that's been kind of the the trade here is that cash has been supporting the market, and it's hard for that market to break. And you would look for it to continue that way unless something changes fundamentally that is hard to predict.
And what about hogs? What kind of pressures are they seeing right now? Because they've been having a good go for the last couple of days, and then the last 2 days now we've seen a little bit of downward pressure.
Yeah, there's been a little bit of a downward pressure after that nice rally back after some of that export issue may have been alleviated, but they're still going to be sensitive to that export news, and maybe we just had enough of a rally in that market that it's taken a little bit of a breather here after it had been bought so hard up, made that V bottom, and hopefully we can get some support here at some of those moving averages that traded down to today, and continues to be constructive and hope for no outside news on banning of exports or export issues.
All right. Well, Kenan, if folks want to talk to the agmarket.net people and get some ideas and some strategies maybe they can think about, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Yeah, check us out on the web at agmarket.net and search for a broker in your area or request some information.
All right, Kenan, we thank you so much for the insight, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, Dustin.
That again was Kenan Layden of agmarket.net. Let's take a look at the closing numbers on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network market screen online at iowaagnet.com.
At the close, May corn was up 6 3/4 at 467 1/4. Soybeans down 6 1/4 at 1034 3/4. Soy meal down 50 cents at 290 even. Soy oil down 27 cents at 48.58. Chicago wheat up 7 1/4 at 513 even. Kansas wheat down a penny at 514 1/4. Minneapolis wheat up 9 at 614 even, and oats down 25 cents at 356 1/4. On the Merc live cattle down $1.80 at 208.40. Feeders were down $1.45 at 292.57. Lean hogs down 62 cents at 91.92. Pork cutouts down $1.15 at 101 even, and Class 3 milk was up 3 cents at 18.37.
And that's the end of the closing market recap, and that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, X, and on our YouTube channel. While you're there, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified each time we put out a new video project. Don't forget about the free market podcast with analysis sent right to your mobile device 3 times a day. Openings, middays, and closings. You can find out more where you get your favorite podcast or listen to the replays along with Iowa Ag Matters, Weekend Ag Matters, and much more. Again, all of that can be found at iowaagnet.com. From the iAir studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Riley Smith, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.